Hi everybody, welcome along to the webinar this morning. We'll start in a few minutes. We'll just wait for the last few people to come in. So if you want to kind of follow along with what I'm doing as we go, feel free to open up rocketspark.com/bookkeepers, and that'll be kind of where we're starting this morning. So if you want to follow along, you can. If you just want to watch me as I go through it, that's fine as well. So we'll start in a few minutes just while we wait for the last few people to come into the webinar. All right, great. Let's get underway. So thanks for joining us. I'm Greg from Rocketspark. My job here at Rocketspark is to make sure that people are getting the right website to fit their needs and helping people understand how to build a website and then how to optimize it for Google search and things like that as well. So today we're just going to cover a few things around how to build a website specifically using Rocketspark. This will take you through the process. We're not a real salesy type company, so we don't like to be really in your face about selling Rocketspark, but we know there's some really helpful information here about how to build the website. And then next week we're going to run another webinar which is all about how people to find your website and get more inquiries from that. So that's looking at search engine optimization, it's looking at social media, and it's looking at blogging. So I'll give you the link for that at the end if you'd like to sign up, and I know there's a bunch of you who already have signed up to that already. So we're really pleased to be associated with the New Zealand Bookkeepers Association. Really excited to offer this online class and the other ones, yeah, looking forward to helping you out with your websites if you're needing that as well. So before we begin, there's obviously a questions section in the webinar software, so feel free to ask them the questions throughout and I'll try and answer them as we go, but also at the end we'll have a time for question and answers as well. And you can obviously always contact us, support@rocketspark.com, or I'll show you through our support center this morning as we go through building the website as well. So the key question, I suppose, is what do bookkeepers need in a website? And generally, we find most bookkeepers are just wanting a simple website that answers a few key questions. Questions like, who am I? What do I do? How can I help your business? And where am I as well, for those of you who are really specific location-based as well. And that fits really well with Rocketspark. So let's jump in. So if, when you go to build a website, I'd suggest coming to rocketspark.com/bookkeepers up here. And the reason for that is, one, there's some really helpful information here about bookkeepers' websites. Also, when you go through the start free trial, that'll actually send you some more information specifically for bookkeepers, as well as sending you the coupon code to get the 15% discount off your subscription. So I'd definitely come this way and click the blue Get Start Free Trial button. You can obviously click the Get Discount code, but if you go through the Start Free Trial, you'll actually receive it throughout that process as well. So I've clicked that button. Here I am. You just need to put in your name, your email address, and a password, and then the terms and conditions, and then we'll get started. So basically, at Rocketspark, we start with a whole lot of different templates. And so the templates are just a starting point for the website. Often it's really difficult to just start from scratch, from nothing. So you want to start with something, and then you can build from that. We've actually got 3 bookkeeper specific templates as well, but these are all completely customizable. Any of these templates will work for a bookkeeper because you can edit and change everything, but we developed these 3 specifically for bookkeepers with bookkeepers in mind and the types of things that bookkeepers are needing right there, so that you can see them really easily. So let's choose this one here. And you can see this is what it's going to look like at the start, but you can edit and change everything. So let's click Get Started with this template. And this is going to take us through now into the process of actually building the website. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to choose a logo option. So you've got 2 options. You can upload a file, a logo file, so that could be a JPEG, a PNG, different file types of your logo, or you can actually create a text logo as well. So if you don't have a logo, but if you've got a name of the business but no logo, you can just use text, and you can choose a different font. So I've got a logo here, so let's jump in and upload this. Let me find that. It is. Where are we? Oh, I'll just jump back into here where I left it. Here we go. So we'll upload this logo. And what the system's going to do is it's going to pick out the colors. And so here you can see it's picked out the colors. Let's make this background a bit darker so that we can actually see the text that sits on the logo. There we go. And then we can choose the colors for the website based off the colors of this logo. So as we click through here, we can see that it's changing all the colors on the site, and for the headings and things, and we can customize these colors as well. And that's going to take us through into the next part of the editing system. So if we go back into logo and menu, we've got all these options here, so we can make this part of our site bigger or smaller. We can move the menu here. Now we can see that because we've done this grey background color, these here aren't quite so visible, so it's really easy to jump in and change. So if I jump into the menu here, change that to white, and now we can see those really clearly. Mouse over color, so as I hover my mouse over, I want it to be that nice green color, so we can see that as I hover my mouse there, it's changing. And then we can actually move where this sits. So say, for example, at the moment it's sitting above the feature area, this part here. I might actually want to put it below. So the image goes at the top and the menu sits down the bottom, and I can actually go overlay it as well. So you can see it's now sitting over top of that photo, and as soon as I choose the overlay feature, then I can actually put a gradient in there. So what that means is that just from the top there's a nice little gradient sits behind the logo and behind the menu, and now I can see that logo nicely. So that's quite a nice feature there. We can obviously change a lot of the functionality there. So then if I jump into the next section, which is headings and paragraphs, so that's talking about the text on our website and what I want that to be. So I can jump into here and I can change that. So let's change to Proxima Nova Soft, and we'll do the same here and here as well. So it's for all the different headings, and then the paragraph text, we can change that as well. Maybe let's change it to something a little bit lighter, and let's make it a little bit larger. Here we go, and we can change text link colors and the content background. So say maybe we wanted to go to a teal background. Now this is where we need to be really careful. Obviously that's a little bit harder to read. We could go directly to white, which will be, remove that to white, that's going to be nice and crisp, or we could use a grey as well. As I said, we just need to be careful with colors and things like that. So maybe we'll jump back to white. Cool. And then the next section here we've got is buttons. So let me, I'm just going to save this for a second, and we'll just add a button in here so that we can see how that's going to look as well, because currently there's no buttons here. So I'll just really quickly do this, and I'll explain how this works a little bit later. Great. Okay, so if we go back up to Edit Design, and we'll jump into buttons. So now that we've got this button here, we've got 8 different styles of buttons. So you can see we've got square corners, rounded corners, more round corners, and circular. And we've got outlined buttons as well, all the same. So I quite like the outlined buttons. And so we can see that now this button here has changed. I want the border to be a little bit thicker, so let's go to 4 pixels. I want to use the nice green color as well, so I can do that. And then I want the font inside as well to be that same green. And now I've got my button set up. So any button I add now is going to look exactly like this. I can jump into social media icons now. So you can see you've got your social media icons down the side here. And in the footer as well. Now, these aren't actually connected up to social media, and I can show you where to do that in a second. But basically, we can change how those social media icons look. So we've got the outlined versions and the solid versions with round corners and circles with no outline at all. And we can actually choose where we want them to show. So at the moment, they're on the side of the window here. We can put them up in the top here in this contact bar. We can also put them at the end of the page menu as well. So they can go in lots of different places. And then as I change these, you can see that it changes. Now I can also then change the color of those social media icons, and probably I might want to put them in my own color. And this nice green, let's keep it consistent here. And so now we've got the social media icons in the same color as our business, which is quite nice, matches the buttons nicely as well. Then if we jump up right up to the top, we've got this contact bar right at the top here, and that's a really nice way of just having your email address and your phone number really quickly there for you. So let's change this email address. So Greg@Wallace Bookkeeping. .co.nz. There we go, and we'll change the phone number if we need to. Let's change the color to that nice green, and maybe let's make the color of that bar white at the top. And we can make this set left aligned or centered or right aligned. And right aligned is generally quite normal for it to sit over on the right hand side here. And then if we go to the footer, that's the bit right at the bottom here, this section right here. And so maybe I want to just keep that nice clean white feel all the way through, and make that white as well. We'll make that green actually, so that the text stands out on there, and then we'll make this background white as well. So now you can see we've got a nice crisp white footer. We've got our menu here in the bottom in green, and then we've got our social media icons in green as well. So let's click Save Changes here, and now we can jump into actually editing the content on the page. So let's start with this feature area right at the top here. So first of all, we want to change the photos. So there's some videos here that will pop up and help you through that process as well, so you feel free to watch that. Let's delete the second photo here, and then we've got 2 options. So we've got replace and reposition. So let's click replace, and we'll find on our computer here, it'll just open up any of the files that are on your computer, and we'll open up this photo. Try that again. And now they're not wanting to load for me. Let's do this one. Let's try this one here. That's better. So it's going to upload the photo, it's going to reposition it, it's going to resize it for you, so it's really nice for web, so that you don't have to worry about whether it's too big or too small. The bigger the better with photos, always. So if you've got really, really high quality photos, that's going to be much nicer as well. So make sure that you use really high quality photos. There's lots of really good stock image photo systems that you can use. Just going to refresh that because something didn't go quite right there. Let's replace that photo again. This one. There we go. So once the photo is uploaded, then you can reposition it to show a different part of the photo. Now just be aware that when you use different screen sizes, it's going to show a different part of the photo. So with these feature area right at the top of the page, you don't want to get too caught up in making sure it's exactly how it's going to look, because on different screen sizes it's going to show differently anyway. So this photo is more about giving a feeling and a vibe to the website rather than it being exact pixel for pixel on every single screen. So let's go save those changes, and you can see now that that photo is going to sit up in there. Now this text here, we can obviously edit that, and so at the top here, so let's maybe change this, and I would suggest let's put the region where you're based. So you're Nelson Bookkeeper, and then this here will say contact us, and then we'll change this so that it's going to link to the new contact page. So there's our button. Now the button is orange, so we want to change that. Down in this design settings, there's a whole bunch of functionality in here, and we want to change this. So maybe let's make this white, and we'll make the text black, and then it's going to sit nicely there. And so what we can do now is look at the text, and sometimes it might just be that you need to put a little shadow behind it so that if there's a white photo in behind, the text still stands out on that as well. So you can do things like that, and you can get quite complicated in terms of design in here as well. So I won't go into too much detail there, but if you're wanting to have a play around, there's quite a bit of functionality in there. The other thing we can do here is actually move this text wherever we want it in this feature area. So we can say, actually, I want it left aligned or right aligned. I want it centered. We can actually crop this so that it drops that second word onto another line, or potentially even puts 3 words on over 3 lines. And if I go like this and then move it up, and so I can actually move this so that the photo in behind is not obstructed by the text as well. So you can move that around kind of as much as you want. So that's quite nice to be able to put it anywhere you want on that image. Now it'll keep it the same for all the images, so if we now go and add another slide, and let me grab this one, it's going to upload that photo. Again, we can reposition this, we can click save, and now it's going to be a slideshow. This text will stay the same position on all of the slides, but we can actually change so that each slide has a different text on it as well. So if you want to promote different services, you can do that. So let's save those changes there, and now we'll move on to the rest of the page here. So further down, we've included some imaginary certifications. So this is where you can upload your Xero accredited, MYOB partner, New Zealand Bookkeepers Association logo, all those sorts of things, and those are there to add trust. So people, anytime they see certifications, people really trust that. So I definitely suggest having them there. So these here are images, just like any other image, and I can just drag and move those around if I want to change the order of them. I could put them and stack them on top of each other. I could make them smaller or larger if I wanted to. So if I click on the pencil here, it's now giving me the option. I can make this taller, so I can crop those. I can zoom in or zoom out on those as well. So there's some really nice functionality there to really quickly make it look great. And you can see up here, you can just click replace. You can link it through, so you might want to link it through to your Xero or MYB listing on their websites, potentially link it through to the Bookkeepers Association website as well. So you just click on the choose link destination and then choose the website that you want that to link to. So there's lots of that functionality as well. If we, here's our button that we had before, and again I can just drag this anywhere I want, anywhere on the page, and it's going to resize automatically as well. So, so that's quite nice. And you can see that when I hover over this, it actually changes as well. So it's just a nice little added feature. People can hover over them, and it gives them the feeling, okay, I can click on this and move on. So let me just delete this here. And then now this one here, the reason that, so here we've changed the headings to green. The reason these haven't changed is there's actually some specific design styling on this section of content here. So if I click on this little icon, and I'll explain these stacks and blocks in a little bit, and if I click reset to site-wide, and then save, and then they'll change back to the other colors as well. So now we've got the menu up the top here. Now you might want to change what these are. So the way that we do those, up in here we've got our three little lines, which is our dashboard menu, and we've got manage pages. Now this is where we've got all of the pages that are on our website. So I might want to change this to say about us, so I can save that, and then let's change this to say our services. Cool. And then this news one, let's call this blog instead. Okay. Cool. So you can see that these 5 pages are in the menu, and you've actually got a 6th page here that's offline and not in the menu. So you can see this line here. As you drag this up, anything above this line appears in your menu, and anything below this line doesn't appear in the menu. So sometimes what you'll have, and we'll talk about this in our SEO search engine optimization class next week, but you might have specific pages for your services. So you guys might have bookkeeping services, and then if we add a new page which might be called payroll, and then maybe add a new page which is, I don't know, something like remote assistance, something like that. And those might be your 3 key services. But you don't want them in your main menu because we want to keep main menus quite simple, but we want them and link to them in other ways. So that's a way to do that. We'll talk about that more, as I said, in the online class next week. If we click to our services, I'll explain how you can build a page from scratch. So these pages don't have any content on them automatically, so you can start from scratch. Sometimes that can be a little bit daunting. In our support center and in our blog, there's some really nice guides about how to build a services page or an about us page or a contact page. But you'll be able to look at other people's websites and kind of get an idea of how they've done it, and that might help you out as well. So the way we start on a blank page is by adding a stack. So let's click the add stack button. There's also a video here that will explain it, but if I click add stack, basically a stack is how many columns and how you want those columns laid out. So we've got a 2-column stack, we've got a 3-column stack, we've got a 2/3, 1/3. If we scroll across, there's a 1-column stack, and there's all the different variations of that you might need to create your different pages. Okay, so I'm going to use a 3-column stack here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some text. So my first block here is going to be a text block, and this is going to be bookkeeping services. Cool. My second block here is going to be for payroll, and my third block is going to be for that remote assistance that I talked about before. Cool. So we've got our 3 blocks. Now let's add some text content into them. So by clicking the pencil, I can then grab the text that I've got, and I'm just copying this from a Word document, and I'll paste it in there. And for payroll, let's do the same. And for remote assistance, let's do the same. Cool. Now, I think because payroll is so much shorter than these other ones, I think maybe we should center these. So if I click into each one, and right up here I can center that, and then I can highlight the text and center the text. Okay, let's do the same for all 3. And the last one here. Great. And you can see that we've lined these up. We've got the same amount of content, so it just looks really, really clean. Now, the next thing I could do to make it a little bit more interesting is maybe put a photo for each of these services. So if I click picture, and then we'll use those same photos that we used previously. So here's our office one, and then I might put that above. And let's get another block, and we'll grab another photo here. drag that up to the top. And then finally, let's grab one more. And this one doesn't sit perfectly, but it's all right. Now, one thing you can see here is that these photos are actually different heights, and that can be really annoying if you're a detailed person and you want them all to look the same. So we've got a really nice little feature that you may have caught a glimpse of before, where I can just grab this little line and it actually snaps to the same height as both of the other photos there. Click Save, and now they're all perfectly lined up, which is so nice. You don't have to do anything outside of the system before you upload it. You can upload any size and then crop them there. We can obviously zoom in, and then I can move around to show the bit of the photo that I want. So maybe I don't really want that plant in there. I'd rather just have the, there we go, and let's just make sure it's the same size. There it is. Cool. So really quickly, you can kind of edit those photos to be however you want. One thing else we can do is at the top here, obviously we can change this photo for this page, so potentially there's another photo out there, but maybe more importantly is in here we can put our services, and we can move that wherever we want, up and down, and maybe we want it to sit on that screen there, so we can save that. And then these here, we probably want to link to those specific pages that we set up just before. So in here I can say find out more, and then I can highlight that, and then insert a link, and we want to select a page, and this is going to bookkeeping services. Insert. So here is our link to go find out more, and we can do the same thing in each of these. Find out more, and then we want to link that to the payroll page, and then on this one here do the same thing again. So now we've got links to each of the pages where now we can talk about these services in more detail, and from a Google point of view, having a page for each of these is really beneficial because it means that Google sees you as the expert in those things. So, and as I said, we'll talk about those more in next week's SEO online class as well. So there's our services page, which is quite nice. You might want to add some more content. So if I want to add another stack, I can do that. And so this stack, maybe I want to make just a 2-column stack, so you can have multiple stacks down the page. And maybe we want to put in there a photo. So let's grab another photo here. And we'll grab this one. And then put some more text in this one. So creating great ideas, and then let's grab some text to drop in there, and maybe we want 2 paragraphs there. Great. And so now you can see that really quickly you can build your page. Now this one here, potentially we want to make that a different color just so it stands out a little bit. So now we can jump into here to our stack specific styling. So if I click onto that, and we get these options that drop up here, so we can do a stack background. So that means we could do a color. So maybe I want to go a whole section of that green, and as soon as I do that, you can see my heading disappears. So now I need to jump into headings, and I want to change these headings now to white so that they stand out. Okay, and then buttons, if I add a button into here, I can then change that as well, because if it was a green button you wouldn't see it, so I want to change it to a white button. And then the spacing is quite nice. So what we can do is just create a little bit more space to kind of break it up between the 2 different colors as well. You can get quite specific with your spacing. I won't jump into that. The other thing you can do is, instead of a color, you can actually upload a photo. So this ideas, potentially we could use that as the whole background image. So there's our background image, and I might put an opacity over top of that. I might make that white instead, and then we can put a little bit of opacity so that the text stands out a little bit more. Then if we do that, we'll probably want to change our heading back to the green. There it is. We'll just change all of these headings in case we add one of those later. And then we can click Save. Now because I've got that same photo there, I probably don't want this photo. So I can delete that, and I can just leave that blank now. So that using those photos is a really nice way to kind of create those big, wide images. As I add more content, it'll get taller, and if I add more spacing as well, so I'll just jump in and do that, the image, you can see the image gets taller as well. It reveals more of the image in there. So yeah, so that's quite a nice way of creating different kind of sections throughout the page, and you can carry on with those as well if you wanted to. And I'll just jump into the contact section, and let's just do a real quick contact page. And contact pages are generally quite easy, but also you want to make sure you have the right information there. So let's do a text block to start, and we've got contact us, and we can put this here, Greg at Wallace bookkeeping.co.nz. We'll make that a link so that it's going to email go, and then we'll put phone is 1234567, and then what else we might put in here, address 123. Great, and you can see there's two different options of spacing as well. So you can just hit enter and it will drop you down a full paragraph, or you hit shift enter and it will just drop you to the next line. So there we go, we've added our notes in there, our address and things. The other thing we can do is put in an email form so that someone can just fill out the form straight away. And so now we've got name, phone number, email, message. That's great. And then I'll probably want to put in a map as well, because if we were location based, and let's say that we're in Nelson, we can put our exact address in there if we want, but Nelson will pick up as well if we just want to do that. So there's our map, and so people can click on that to get directions to wherever we are. Again, we can just drag these around so that they're in the exact right order that we might want. And you've quickly built a contact page as well. We can also add, once we've connected up our social media, we can add social media buttons. We can add a video from YouTube, so potentially you've got a video talking about yourself or your business, you can really easily add that. All you do is just paste in the address, the YouTube or the Vimeo address, and you've got the video will come straight through. And you can add files for people to download as well, and that's where sometimes on the services pages that might be really useful to be able to add a file, a PDF or a Microsoft Word document or something like that that you might want people to be able to download. So if I just quickly jump into our dashboard area here, we'll just jump into social media. So you can add all of your social media that you might be working on. Probably for what you're doing, it would probably be Facebook and LinkedIn, I would suggest. You might have a YouTube account, potentially Twitter, but those would be the main ones, and they're really easy to add again. Click add and then paste in the Facebook address. If you're doing LinkedIn, paste in your company LinkedIn address. If you're doing Instagram, your username, all those sorts of things. So they're really easy to connect up. And you've got your blogging as well. We'll talk about that next week in the Get Found section. And if you're needing email accounts for your website or domain names, if you don't have a domain name already, you can register those through Rocketspark. Email accounts, we can do those as well. And we'll talk about this Get Found SEO section next week. So that's pretty much everything I had for today. And one thing to note, if you want to change templates throughout the process, you can do that as well. You can browse those templates. You keep all your content, you don't lose it. So you just need to select that. But so you can change those templates whenever you want and start again. And the other thing I was just going to mention was around our help center. So you can see down in the bottom here, you've got a help widget. And if you click on that, it's going to ask you how can we help. So maybe you want help with page names, and I search that, and then it's got a result here, how to change a page name, and it's got our support guide on how to do that. If you click view original article, it will take you through to our support center, and here's the step-by-step guide on how to do everything. If we go back to our support center home, there's heaps of support guides here about all the different aspects of building a website. So getting started, editing, search engine optimization is all there as well. as well as lots of other FAQs and things like that. So feel free to use that. If you still don't find what you're looking for, you can leave us a message and one of the team will get back to you as well. So if you've got any questions, feel free to fire those through now. And I'll also put the link for next week's webinar. I know lots of you have already registered for that, so I'll drop that in here. So that's next week at the same time, and I've just dropped it into the chat window. So that's covering getting more visitors to your website, SEO, blogging, and social media basics as well. So yeah, so if anyone's got any questions specifically about their website or what they might do, or if you've got any questions about what I've shown you, please feel free to ask those. I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, we can have a few questions. Otherwise, that's all we had for today. So thanks so much for joining us today. And as I said, if you want to start and have a try, go to the rocketspark.com/bookkeepers page and then click start a free trial, and that will get you through with the bookkeeping templates there ready for you, as well as it'll send you the coupon code as well to get you 15% discount for the ongoing subscription for the website. Cool. So it doesn't look like there's any questions. If you do have questions after the webinar, feel free to give us an email, support@rocketspark.com. We'll be happy to answer those for you. But probably the easiest way is to just jump on and have a try, and you'll quickly figure out how it works, and it is really easy to do. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great Friday and have an awesome weekend. Thanks. We'll chat to you soon.